Hi students, this is Dr. S. Vallimai from the Department of Chemistry, Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute. Now in this I am going to deal about applied chemistry which comes under the BSc final year final semester, and particularly in this I am just going to deal about the continuation of the previous one, fuels and combustion. Now, in this, approximately or generally, I'm just going to deal how the analysis of coal is done by proximate and ultimate analysis. Now, in this, as I told in the previous slide, I will be dealing with proximate analysis of coal, ultimate analysis of coal, coke, and its manufacture with the drawbacks. So first, let us move on to the proximate analysis of coal. So the proximate analysis of coal deals with the moisture content, volatile matter, ash content, and the fixed carbon present in the coal. Now first, let us move on to the moisture content. Now to determine the moisture content, a known weight of an air-dried, finely powdered coal sample is weighed in a silica crucible. This crucible is heated in an electric hot air oven which is maintained at 105 to 110 degrees centigrade for about 1 hour. By this time, all the moisture content of the sample would have been evaporized. So now the crucible is taken out and it is cooled in desiccators and it is weighed. So the decrease in the weight is reported as the loss of moisture. Now, what is the formula to calculate the percentage of moisture? So it is given as percentage of moisture is equal to the loss of weight of coal into 100 and the weight of coal taken. So now let us move on to the volatile matter. So now the above crucible containing the coal sample, after the removal of the moisture content, it is covered with the lid and is heated in an electrical furnace kept at about 950 degree plus or minus 20 degrees centigrade for exactly 7 minutes of time. It is then taken out and then cooled in a desiccator and the crucible is weighed. Now there will be a decrease in the weight and we assume that it is due to the removal of volatile matter. So now what is the formula to find out the percentage of volatile matter? The percentage of volatile matter is equal to loss of weight in coal due to the removal of volatile matter into 100 by the weight of coal originally taken. Now, how to determine the ash content? Now, the above crucible containing the coal sample after the removal of the moisture content and the volatile matter is now heated in an electric furnace without the lid for about 30 minutes at a temperature of 750 degree plus or minus 50 degrees centigrade. By this time, the coal sample would have been completely burnt off to get the ash content. Now the crucible is taken out after complete burning and then it is cooled in a desiccator and the weight of the ash content left over is determined. So the formula to determine the percentage of ash is equal to the percentage of the ash which is equal to the weight of the ash into 100 by the weight of the coal originally taken. So now we have determined the percentage of volatile matter, moisture and the ash. So with the help of this, we can determine the fixed carbon. The fixed carbon can be found out by taking the difference of 100 with a combined percentage of moisture, volatile matter and ash. So now the formula to determine the percentage of carbon is equal to 100 minus the percentage of moisture plus volatile matter plus ash. So now you will get the percentage of fixed carbon. So this is how the volatile matter, moisture, ash content and fixed carbon are calculated by using the proximate analysis. So now moving on to the ultimate analysis. Now this ultimate analysis gives the presence of the individual elements also. So now we'll see how to determine the presence of carbon and hydrogen. A known weight of the finely powdered coal sample is taken in a combustion apparatus and it is burnt in a current of oxygen. So now the products on combustion are passed through a pre-weighed calcium chloride tube. Then it is passed through a pre-weighed potassium hydroxide tube. Now, why is it passed through these two tubes? The carbon and the hydrogen present in the coal are oxidized to carbon dioxide and water respectively. The water which is produced when it is passed through calcium chloride is completely absorbed, and the carbon dioxide which is produced when it is passed through the potassium hydroxide tube is completely absorbed. So now the increase in weight of these tubes will give the weight of water and carbon dioxide produced during the combustion of the known weight of the coal sample. Now from the known we'll go to the unknown. So now we all know that 44 grams of carbon dioxide contains 12 grams of carbon and 18 grams of water contains 2 gram of hydrogen. So now the formula to calculate the percentage of carbon and hydrogen is as follows. So the percentage of carbon is equal to increase in weight of the potassium hydroxide tube into 100 into 12 divided by the weight of the coal sample into 44, and the percentage of hydrogen is equal to increase in weight of calcium chloride tube into 100 into 2 divided by the weight of coal sample into 18. So this is how the percentage of carbon and hydrogen are determined. Now we'll see how the percentage of nitrogen is determined. So nitrogen content of a coal sample is determined by Geldahl's method. Now what is this method? Here a known weight of finely powdered coal sample is digested with sulfuric acid in the presence of potassium sulfate as a catalyst in the Geldahl flask. Now here the nitrogen which is present in the coal sample, it is getting converted into ammonium sulfate. Now when the reaction is over, now here excess of potassium hydroxide is added and distilled to get a clear solution. Now the ammonia gas which is liberated in a known excess of standard acid is neutralized by the acid. Now here the unreacted acid after the removal or they say the neutralization of ammonia can be found out by a back titration with standard alkali using phenolphthalein as the indicator. From this, the volume of the acid reacted with the equivalent volume of ammonia liberated can be found out by taking the difference between the initial and the final volumes of the acid. Now this will be equal to the volume of ammonia liberated. Now let the volume of ammonia liberated be is equal to VmL. So now therefore the weight of nitrogen in VmL of ammonia is equal to the normality of the acid into 14 into the volume of the ammonia by 1000. So now therefore the percentage of nitrogen is equal to normality of the acid into 14 into V by W into 1000, which is equal to normal to the acid into 1.4 into V by W. So this is how the percentage of nitrogen is. Now how to calculate the percentage of sulfur? A known weight of the finely powdered coal is burnt in a current of oxygen in a combustion apparatus, and the residue is treated with barium chloride. Now, the barium sulfate precipitated is filtered, washed, dried, and weighed. Now, here we say 233 grams of barium sulfate contains 32 grams of sulfur. So, therefore, the percentage of sulfur is equal to the weight of barium sulfate formed into 32 into 100 by the weight of coal sample into 233. Now, how to find ash? Now, ash is determined as per the proximate analysis method. Now, how to determine the percentage of oxygen? The percentage of oxygen is estimated by summing up the percentage of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, sulfur, and ash and subtracting it from 100. So, percentage of oxygen is equal to 100 minus the percentage of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, sulfur, and ash. Now, coke. What is coke? Coke is a homogeneous, stronger, and it is more porous than coal. Its volatile matter content is lesser than coal. So, therefore, coke burns with a shorter flame, resulting in a high calorific value. Now, this coal on destructive distillation, that is, heating in a limited supply of air, produces strong, lustrous, and porous mass called coke. The process of preparation of coke from coal is known as carbonization. So, if carbonization is carried out in the temperature range of 500 to 700 degrees centigrade, it is called low temperature carbonization, and in the temperature range of 900 to 1200 degrees centigrade, it is called high temperature carbonization. Now, the low temperature carbonization produces a high yield of nearly 75 to 85 percentage, but the quality of coke produced will be of lowest rank as it contains 5 to 15 percentage of volatile matter. Hence, it is mostly used only for domestic fuel. The coke which is produced by temperature of high carbonization is of right porosity and hardness, and this has its suitable purpose in the metallurgical process. If it contains a low volatile matter, that is 3%, but its yield of the coke is 65 to 75 percentage. Now we'll see how the coke is manufactured. Now the coke is being manufactured by a method called beehive oven method. Now first we'll just see the description of this oven. This oven is a dome-shaped brickwork chamber of about 4 meters wide and 2.5 meters high. The oven has a top opening for charging of the coal and a side opening for discharging of coke produced and for limited supply of air for the carbonization process. So this is about the description. The coal is now charged through the hopper up to a depth of zero point 0.8 to zero point 0.9 meter and ignited. The carbonization proceeds in a limited supply of air. This reaction is completed in 3 to 4 days of time. So the hot coke is now pushed out and it is cured by water quenching. The yield of the coke is about 80 percentage of the coal which is charged inside the oven. Now let us see the drawbacks. So the beehive oven method is a time consuming process. A lot of energy is needed and hence wastage of fuel. The useful products like ammonia, naphthalene, benzene, coal gas, etc. are not recovered. Now here I have just given two questions. One is the explanation of the proximate and the ultimate analysis of coal. The other one is the manufacture of coke and its drawbacks. Thank you.